here we are, very close to what I see as the best opportunity in basically a generation, as I stated publicly, to keep this land basically in its forested state. On April 16th this year, now the Trust for Public Land approached me about a year and a half ago and said they were pursuing this. And all along, it was fundraising along with whatever the town's contribution was. Recently, about a month ago, we had our first indication that there may be some co-ownership involved with this property with the state of Connecticut. And we are working on that issue as we speak, day by day. I have conversations with the Department of Energy and Environmental Protection, as well as the Trust for Public Land, as well as the town attorney, quite frequently on this. We're still working out the details on that, and are hopeful for a resolution that is satisfactory to all soon. There's been a lot of questions, and in fact, there was a press conference several weeks ago in Hartford, and it was on a Friday, and the following Monday, it had been announced that Friday that the state was committing $3 million. And the following Monday, I got a call from Steve Gernhardt, who's also on the Board of Selectmen, who said, I'm at a Democratic Town Committee meeting, and there are a lot of questions about co-ownership. And I went in and I spoke to the Democratic Town Committee about that. What we've subsequently learned is this property is not in any way meant to be a state park. This is going to be land that is going to have a conservation easement placed on it. Conservation easement placed on it that will basically keep the land, aside from trails and other very passive recreation, in its current state. It's not going to change all that much. As I see it, and I'm hopeful that this will resolve a lot of the management issues, there isn't going to be a lot to manage. It's going to be left in its natural state for all intents and purposes. The town owns 550 acres, which is formerly known as the Gleason property. Basically, the same conservation easement that is on that property will go on this property. They're almost identical. We don't spend a lot of money on 550 acres on the Gleason property. And I'm embarrassed to tell you how little we spend, to be honest with you, on the maintenance of that property. I don't anticipate, if the town ends up owning this property, owning or co-owning this property, I do not anticipate this to be any sort of financial drain year over year on the town budget from an operating budget point of view. I don't anticipate we're going to have to be funding extraordinary amounts into the budget, and a lot more than what we're funding right now in terms of maintenance. In addition to that, there will be some sort of stewardship fund that is set aside. The state has pledged $300,000 towards stewardship. There may be more that is set aside. If, in fact, this is approved by the Board of Finance tonight or at some future date, it will go to town meeting, and then it will go to referendum. I'm hopeful that we can accomplish this sometime in early to mid-June, which is soon. An appropriation by the Board of Finance simply authorizes the funding. If the funding by the other parties is not there when we are ready to close, we don't have to fund it. We don't go out for our money. The authorization expires. It's simply an authorization, and then at some point the deal will close, assuming TPL comes up with their funds and the state comes up with their funds. And we're hoping for a closing later in 2014 or early 2015.
First of all, let me introduce, my name is Bill Peace. I was selectman in the town of Old Saybrook for 16 years. Prior to that, I worked for the Connecticut Department of Transportation for 38 years as an engineer. I can tell you the first 12 years of my career I spent on roads and bridges. I think I do know at least a little something about roads and bridges. My estimate for that, to build 4,000 or 5,000 feet of roadway would be probably about $4 million. And I thought about that number a little bit, and I think I'm actually low because normally for the front end on engineering, I would put 10 to 12% for engineering on the front end. I would probably put 15% contingency on the back, so it could even be higher. At every turn in a road, economically, it makes sense to acquire the property. But I want to continue to live in the community, and I realize what the long-term costs are going to be if we don't spend. I think the numbers figured out. I guess it's about like $25 a year for everybody here, right, to cover. The downside is extreme. I suspect the downside for each person would be 10, 20, or 30 times that before even get into the environmental damage. And I think that's enough.
The town is buying the land with town bond funds or some other borrowing. The other funding coming into this deal, let's say $5 million roughly, is coming from a variety of sources, because that's how we can actually afford to do this thing, is by leveraging various federal, state, local, and private donations from private individuals who are giving to this cause. And a lot of that money comes with strings attached. And the strings attached are, you can't develop that land.
Good evening, my name is Barbara Maynard. I'm happy to see all of you. I served as selectman for 16 years in this town and loved every single day I went to work. And I have a little bit of history which I like to share with people, because so many people do not recognize or realize how we got to where we are now. We are a wonderful town. We have beautiful buildings. We have nice facilities. Everything is well maintained. We have beautiful roads. We have 17 miles of coastline. We have almost got it all. We have open space that goes from our west, and we have an open space in the east. If we buy the preserve, we will have a protective band from the west across the north and to the east of open space, which will be there forever. So I urge the Board of Finance, even though if you may have some personal feelings about it, I don't know if you do or not, but this should be a decision made by the people. I implore you, please recommend this back to the selectmen. They will name a town meeting date. You'll have another town meeting to discuss this. Then you will have a referendum just like the budget, and you will have the opportunity to vote on it. And to the Board of Finance, I want to say, and that's the way it should be, because that's a government by the people. Thank you.
I'm Bill Childers from North Road Road. I just have a brief statement to make, and it kind of goes like this. Old Saybrook has always been about quality of life, and that's why many of us have moved here, lived here, we like it, and we love the town. Acquisition of the preserve is a quality of life issue. The advantages of to the environment and to the recreation and wildlife habitat have been clearly articulated through this entire process. The cost to the taxpayers of acquisition and preservation of the property is demonstrably less than the cost to us of development of the property. So the issue before the Board of Finance is whether to commit the town to $3 million to acquire for its citizens all of the benefits of an $8 million property. That's how I see the issue. As both Bill Peace and Barbara Maynard have indicated, it's not often that we get another bite at the apple, if you will. But it's here and it's now. So let's make it happen. Thank you.
None of us would be here tonight, at least in my mind, if it wasn't for the efforts of one individual, our able photographer, Bob Lorenz, 100% out of his own pocket. If any man here tonight deserves a round of applause, it's the guy that jumped down there, Bob Lorenz. Thank you, Bob.
Bob, you should take a selfie. have numbers being bounced around here at 8.09 million and 3 million. The only number we all need to worry about here is 3 million. So we're talking about 3 million, perhaps on a 20-year bond that's going to be at these insanely low interest rates of 26 bucks a person per year for 20 years. I spend 26 bucks just about every day at Pasta Vida.
I just wanted to say, I hope that we can, once we have the preserve, we can promote it effectively the way that Chris Kreider and many others have been promoting saving it. This is a big draw to people, especially retirees, seniors, and most importantly, families, new families to move here. They'll have the opportunity not only to see our beautiful beaches, but to also live right near this wonderful, beautiful forest.
Other questions? Yes, sir?
I'd like to ask everybody, Peter Walsh and I live up on Meadowood Road, everybody who is for moving this to the vote, would they please stand up?
Thank you. Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye and raise your hand. Aye. Motion passes.